One of the main tools that are out there on time management is called the time management matrix. It also describes how people organize themselves in terms of the activities that they are engaged in. So if you guys try to think of your time as a matrix, right? The things that you're working on, things could be either urgent versus not urgent, right? Or important versus not important. So the first quadrant, if things are important and you're leaving it until the last minute and it becomes urgent, this is called the quadrant of necessities. These are looming deadlines and putting the fire out and the last minute prep. So if you're spending a lot of time here, how do you think you will feel? So if you're putting fire out all the time, you're going to feel stress. If you're actually working on your task, a lot of your tasks are in the not urgent and important area, the quadrant of quality. These are things that you're working into for prevention and proactive activities, right? Doing things ahead of time, involving planning and maintaining school and work balance, right? And the third category is the quadrant of deception, things that are not important, but it's almost like it becomes urgent because you're putting so much focus on it, right? And you're just trying to get to it, even though it's not important. So things that seem pressing, but they're not. Interruptions and distractions, and you need to, things that you need to learn to say no. So for example, like what's one thing that really grabs your attention? Like for me, things that I could say no to is like notifications, right? My phone notification. The fourth one is quadrant of time wasters or mindless activities, activities that get in the way of important things. So obviously you want to spend 30 of your time in the second quadrant to get the most bang for your buck, to be most productive, right? So working on things that are not urgent, like so that it doesn't become urgent last minute, and things that are really most important to you. And here are some of the things that you want to reflect on. Let's actually come back to that. One activity that I want to try is a whiteboard. Not urgent, not important. I end up wasting a lot of time on this. Netflix. Can you guys see the whiteboard? Instagram, yeah. So you could just like start populating whatever you want in these 4 quadrants. Yep, assignments. Textbook, yeah, it's good to read your textbook ahead of time. Yeah, readings, midterms, tests, test prep. Yeah, social, like time waster, a lot of it is like social media, YouTube. Yeah, shopping and grocery. I think it depends on what kind of things you need, right? It could be quadrant quality. You don't want to end up, running out of food. So you have to do it ahead of time. Yeah, spending time with friends and family, reviewing notes. Urgent, not in playing with my younger sister. Yeah, emergencies. Yeah, depending on what the emergencies are. Okay. So thanks, guys. This is a really interesting activity. How does the way I prioritize my activity make me feel, right? If you're spending a lot of time in quadrant number 1, you're feeling stressed. If you're spending a lot of time in time waster, maybe same thing again, or maybe like lethargic and kind of like unmotivated. How does this affect your academic performance, and what activities could you shift to improve your well-being and your academic performance? So it's not just like your academic performance that I want you to focus on. It's really important to have a balance, right? So that you feel healthy and strong. And there are a lot of supports on campus that are available. So if you don't know where to start, just connect with us at Academic Advice and Career Center, and I'll share our contact information. Okay, so we did that already. So here's some common time wasters, right? So I'm really glad that we did that activity on the whiteboard, because a lot of the time wasters were related to online, right? So in one study, actually 47% of the time spent online may involve procrastinating, right? Because it's so easy for the next episode of Netflix to start playing automatically, same thing with YouTube. And like social media, it's just like you just go to the search and then just like all these like funny videos and images pop up. So yeah, you could lose so much time. So it's really important to know what your time wasters are and come up with a plan, right? An obstacle plan. So if you know, let's say social media is like one of your biggest obstacles to studying, then turn off your phone, put it away. So it's literally not even in the same room as you're studying, right? So you're not as distracted. So what I want you to do is, either on your laptop or grab a piece of paper and pen. And on the first line, write down, I am a great tasker. Okay. And on the second line, I want you to write or type the number 1 to 20. And now what I'd like you to do is write down or type and go back and forth between the letters and the numbers. So you will write or type I1, A2, M3, A4, and so on. Okay, so try that. So instead of multitasking, we're actually switch tasking, going back and forth. You could only, cognitively focus on one thing at a time. It causes stress and fatigue, and it really drains your mental energy, right? Because it takes time for you to build up your concentration for one task, and then when you're switching, because your attention is low, you have to build that back up again. So if you're going back and forth, you end up losing a lot of productivity. Cost of texting while reading academic text, one study shows students spend 59% more time to complete the reading than the students who did not do that, right? So phones are very, very distracting, so make sure you put away all your things that are distracting you. And if, for example, internally, like if things like pop into your head and like, those kind of interruptions, I'm going to actually show you a strategy called Get Things Done. It's a really great strategy to address and deal with those kind of like things that like, oh yeah, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that. So those kind of open loops, okay? So essentially what ideally in the beginning of the semester, you want to create like an autopilot schedule, right? So identify regular work, identify set time and day to do this work, repeat and check your progress and regularly and adjust. I'm going to show you practical tools and strategies. So in terms of the term schedule, you could use an agenda, whatever it is, add important dates, right? Reports, assignments, and tests, special events, meetings, workshops, or holidays, anything that are important, like study groups, tutoring, or your lectures and personal appointments. And then create weekly schedules. So you're creating added fixed activities, lectures, work, add fixed study blocks for each of the course. So generally we recommend about like for every single lecture hour, study about 2 to 3 times much. Especially for those like problem solving based like chemistry and math where you have to practice a lot, or any kind of difficult subject that you find challenging, I would say 3 times as much. So for example, if your lecture is 2 hours per week, you're looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of prep time, reading textbook, writing notes, and studying per week. And add 1 to 2 hours of flexible study blocks for catching up and weekly review, probably towards the end of the week. And add personal responsibilities, schedule family and social time. So downtime is also important, right? And use the task planner, and I'm going to show what it look like. So on this screen, and I'm going to give you guys a link to download this presentation. And if you click on this download button, you will be able to download the task planner, okay? So you might have noticed that on the planner, you'll know there's a planned task and actual task, right? So the idea is you want to write down and schedule your activities on the planned task section, those columns, right? Ideally, what you want to do is put in your prep time for your lecture, readings, or whatever it is, before and then attend the lecture, and then add in a review right after the lecture, and maybe about a week later, a month later, right? So that's why you want to have build in a little bit of review times at the end of the week. And then set your goals in terms of, if you have study time, instead of just saying 1 hour, set in terms of number of pages. So for example, if you have a textbook that you have to read, you could write down 32 pages, right? So if you're studying for like about half an hour and your eyeballs are going like this, or you're distracted and you're only on page 2 or 3, then you know that you're not going to meet your target, right? So that's something that's important. And try to study for challenging subject early in the day, right? Or if you're a night owl, evenings are okay too, but make sure it's your most alert time, right? Because you need that cognitive brain power to be able to understand the information. So once you do this, I would suggest it's a really good time to start this and building good habits. So try this for about 3 weeks. For habit to really stick, you need at least 3 weeks of practice, right? Implementing and practice and monitoring. So plan, monitor, and adjust your schedules, and ask these kind of questions. Did I keep my schedule? What things prevented me from completing all the tasks? Is there anything I could have done to complete more tasks, and what do I need to improve? And is there anything else getting in my way, right? So looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so on. And I think you will notice a pattern. And if that's the case, then, make a plan to address those obstacles. So have you guys heard about the Pomodoro Technique? If you, let me know in the chat, if you haven't. So it's like, there are actually quite a few apps out there. So the reason why I really like this is because after, I would say about 10 to 15 minutes into cognitively taxing tasks, like actually studying takes a lot of brain power, your attention level starts dipping, right? By now, I think it's been, how long has it been? About 20 some odd minutes. Chances are your mind has wandered, right? And that's okay. That's how our brain is built, right? So we have to be focused. But if you actually force yourself to study for a long period of time, like an hour, 2 hours, you're just gonna be exhausted. You're not gonna be able to focus. So when you actually break it down, break your task into 25-minute chunks and really focus and take 5 minutes breaks in between, that's called one Pomodoro, right? 25 minutes, and repeat, then you're gonna actually boost your energy level, motivation level, right? So that's why what I would suggest you to use this strategy. So choose a project, choose an assignment, and you could even break it down to like smaller tasks, and decide what's gonna work on, right? What will take 25 minutes, right? And then take 5-minute break, repeat, and after the 4th Pomodoro, right? Or even the 3rd one, take a longer break, right? So if you go to that link, you'll also find more information. And this is actually an activity sheet that you could download from this website. So if you look at the daily planner, Pomodoro daily planner, today's priority is write a productivity blog post, for example, and each X represent each Pomodoro, right? So there are 5 25-minute sessions that this person has worked on for this activity. An additional task, you could put other things, right? So in your calendar or agenda, you might have like list of major projects. So you could grab something and use this, create something like this each day. And you could estimate, okay, these are the number of Pomodoros that I schedule, right? And this is how many I've completed, right? And then productivity review. What will help you improve tomorrow or next day? Put my phone on airplane mode, right? So this is a really great way, like very, very practical. And there's some after, but if phones are real distraction, you might want to stick with something like this and just like your watch, okay? All right. So other productivity strategies, I know sometimes like if you think of maybe working for like an hour or two, it seems really daunting and stressful. So try for 5 minutes, right? So and that is not as, that's not gonna be as overwhelming. So you're more likely to do 5 minutes. And once you have overcome that hurdle of actually starting a task, try for another 10 minutes, another 15 minutes. So you are going to feel much better once you actually do a little bit of work. You're more likely to continue working. Also set reminders, right? So when instead of creating a to-do list, I know it's a really great way to organize your task, and I do actually a combination. I'll show you how I use Trello. Actually, that's my favorite app. I would also plug in if it's really important, I need to get to it. I would just plug it into my calendar, and then I will block off. Okay, 2 hours I'm going to be working on this, right? Just to make sure that I get it done, and then also set reminder, right, for me to get started. So find ways to set reminders, use your technology, and then also use rewards, right? Pre-map, using the pre-map principle. It's a fancy name, but have something that you look forward to, right? And then here's the strategy that I refer to: get things done, right? So your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. So much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they've started, right? So I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes when I have so many things on the go, I will forget to put things on my list, to-do list. And as I'm trying to work, it's like, oh shoot, I forgot this, I forgot that, and it's like nonstop, right? So this is a really great strategy. So those are called open loops, and the more open loops that you have, the more stress you'll feel, right? Because I feel frazzled, right, when I get those kind of thoughts. So by using the core strategy, work on your core strategy, you're getting things done under control, and this is a really fabulous, great way to prioritize. And I know, like, sometimes that's really difficult, especially you have a lot of things happening. So it reduces stress, increases attention, and reduces mind wandering because you have less popping into your head while trying to work. So it looks something like this. So the core stands for capture, so collect and gather placeholders for all things that are considered incomplete, open loops in your world, right? So I would say, you could use something like an app or paper agenda, and just like do a mind dump when you're about to, like, start of the day, when you're about to work on a major project, whatever it is, just dump it out, right? So that you have it written down and you don't have to worry about forgetting anything. And then decide, clarify, answer questions like, what is it? Is it actionable? And what's the next action? So something that you could actually work on now, or do you need to work on it? Remember those kind of like interruptions, like quadrant 3, things that are deceptive, right? If it's actionable, and you could do it in, let's say, 2 minutes. So if you go down to like the do it, I don't know if you see my mouse, the do it in 2 minutes. So if I have like a number of emails, I'll do a quick scan. If there's an email that I could do less than 2 minutes, I'll just, instead of looking at it and leaving it until later, I would just answer it and fire it away, get it out of the way, right? There might be some things like that you could do. And then organize, place in proper buckets so that action can be taken. It is filed away for reference or to be reminded for future, right? So here, is it actionable? No, you just dump it. Is it actionable? 2 minutes, just do it. If it's a major project and you need multiple steps and plan, just have another bucket, right? It could be another piece of paper or page, or in Trello, like another, I'll show you how you could set it up, and you could get to it and start planning later on. Or can you delegate it? Can you ask somebody else to do it, right? And I fall into this trap all the time because I don't know how to say no. And even if I could delegate it, I don't, because I feel guilty. So I need to work on this. Or defer it, right? So can you set a specific time in your calendar? Or can you work on it later and add it to your list, right? Actionable items. And then each day, I would say each morning and evening or throughout the day, just reflect. How are things going, right? And how the process is going, and engage, right? make good choices about what to work on right now and any point in time. So it's a way to prioritize and figure things out. So I'm going to share some apps. So if you want to try the get things done strategy, you could actually do this using To-Do List, right? It's actually one of the better apps out there for to-do lists and organizing yourself. So there's a hyperlink here, so make sure you check it out. It shows you how to track your productivity level, how to get things done, and make a to-do list, right? And then, oh, I'll do this. And then there is actually a way to track your progress, right? So every day you work on something, you could see the bar, the graph going up and up and up, and that could also be motivating, right? And you could look at that to reflect, oh, how did it go this week, or how did was there a little dip, and so on. There's another app. Okay, Trello is like my all-time favorite. I've tried using Google Outlook, all those different apps, but Trello is my favorite because it's got some features, power-ups that you could use, like the calendar. You could sync to calendar. You could set deadlines. I don't know if you could see that, but essentially you could have different boards. It's like you could create your own boards. It could be projects, working on, someday maybe personal. The way I organize is list of to-do items on the left-hand side, things to work on. And then in the middle, I'll have working on today, right? So I'll grab some from my left side, list of project, park it in the working on. That's what I'm working on for the day. If I'm not done, I park it back in the list of items, right? That's a really great feature. You could also create different boards. So I have one for personal and one for work, right? You could have multiple boards. And this is like one of the best features. You could create a checklist, right? Break down a major assignment into smaller chunks. You could even upload files, add hyperlinks, all that stuff, right? So it's a really great way to organize yourself. And once you're done, you click on archive and it disappears. So I really like seeing my progress. I want that bar moving closer and closer to the end and keeps me motivated. So, try that out. Trello, I think it does sync to Google Calendar. I'm not sure about Outlook, right? You could test it out. Who knows? I haven't tried syncing it for a while, but there is a plan away calendar that you could sync to, and I test this out using my Google Calendar. So if you go to the Trello website, they have also really, really great blogs on productivity and staying on top of things, and it's really quick, easy reads. So you could even check that out, okay? Another tool that I wanted to share, how many of you guys heard about the assignment calculator, UTSC assignment calculator? Okay, so maybe not. So I'm gonna share this with you. So if you go to the UTSC assignment calculator, I usually Google it. You could find, and you plug in literally your dates. Let me see, actually, I'm gonna show it to you. You will pick the start date, let's say September 7th, then do, let's see, October 29th. So you can select whatever type of assignment you're working on. Let's say you're working on a research essay, you calculate the schedule. This will give you step by step, step 1 to 11. So step 1, September 8th, understand your assignment, questions about research essay. So when you click on the link, it will give you information on how to get started, how to develop focus, gathering sources, and so on. So it will give you the resources. And then, you follow the steps, and what I would suggest, plug that into your schedule, estimate the amount of time, plug it into your schedule, daily task planner. And by the time you're done, I always say, if it's due on October 29th, schedule it for October 26th, right? Give yourself a bit of extra time by setting up false deadline because life happens, right? If you finish it early enough, you could also actually book an appointment with the writing center and then, help them, or even throughout the writing process, they'll also help you with that. and you could also check with your professor